All right, team. So we got AMD today. It's Halloween, and so I don't know if we're actually gonna cover it. I actually have a black eye, dude. Look at my black eye I got from jujitsu. Uh Jujitsu. I don't know. I don't remember getting a black eye, but I guess I got one sometime rolling. Um yeah, let me know what you guys think. We got AMD earnings today. Again, I debated not streaming today because it is Halloween. I think a lot of people are going to be busy today. Overall, it's been a pretty solid day in market activity. Microsoft up a decent, a little bit today, just went green. And again, we'll see if we get anything good today. I'm waiting. Again, it is earnings season, but it also is Halloween. And so I'm not expecting to get too crazy of action today, but we will see. Again, here's AMD. We also got NVDA up, which NVIDIA, was really red this morning and then fought all the way back and ended green. AMD is having a really good day so far. It's at 98.30s. And so at the very least, we're going to cover the actual earnings release. And if it's slow, then we're just going to kind of bow out. AMC having a pretty solid day for that one as well. Honestly, my portfolio was really up today. I didn't realize how much it was up, but that's nice to see. Amex doing well, Apple doing well, Tesla doing well, Target doing well, SQ. When did SQ numbers drop? I thought they dropped sometime soon, but it's having a green day also today. And again, don't worry, we're going to cover all the earnings today. We got it's not as big of a release as the last AMD stream. But let me get the music going. It's Q3 earnings. Where's my sound? I know I got sound playing somewhere here. But yeah, pretty good day for stocks. It looks like that's good. I'd rather be good day than bad day, of course. I heard the music playing too. I must have closed out of it. And then yeah. You have to hear the music. Let me know if you can. Did Square have earnings recently? I don't know. All right, so AMD is expecting 68 cents per share on 5.4 billion. We also have First Solar, Caesars, Paycom, Lumen, Match, Chesapeake Energy, Liberty Global, Horizon Tech, Mercury. We got a bunch of other earnings, but none of them are really big, to be honest. All right, so we got this banner too. Here's what AMD is expecting. You see AMD on the left side here. AMD is actually having a really good day. Really good day, up to almost $100. What's up, future? It's Halloween, and so all right, so we're doing a poll. Does AMD beat or miss earnings? That poll is live if you want to participate. Microchip company might have some relevancy and influence over other AI potential stocks like MU and other stuff like that. All right, we're gonna do poll here as well. A Twitter poll going live too. Hey, what's up, Bulldog? My guy, what's up, man? Hey, thanks so much, dude. Yeah, hit the like button, guys, if you haven't already. Yeah, sorry, Bulldog. I gotta promote your channel more, brother. I always forget, man. My son's been struggling in school, and I just got so much stuff going on in the back end, and then trying to stream earnings while we got that going on. But my apologies, dude, if I don't give your channel enough love, brother. I appreciate the love for sure. But again, AMD up to $98. All right, so the National Association of Realtors and the Home Services of America have been found guilty of colluding to inflate or maintain high commissions rate, and have been ordered to pay damages of $1.78 billion. Interesting. Do I gotta pay like HAR fees? I forget. So there's Trek. Okay, that's good. Do I have hard dues? When do I have to pay these? I always forget. There we are. I'm sure I got them. Your access to services have been, yep. I'm gonna pay these online. All right, here's that. All right, AMD over 98. Let's watch $98. I think $98 seems like a reasonable level to watch. Hey, thanks so much, Bulldog. I appreciate the love, man. Poll? What? What do you think AMD needs to come down to? I'm not sure. Do you think AMD is too high? I mean, I don't think the PE ratio of AMD is necessarily super high. Yemen has declared it's officially at war with Israel. All right, guys. So AMD push it up. NVIDIA push it up as well. We got to look at the SPY. AMD making another bounce. Really obvious trend for AMD. You can see the trend here. Again, AMD numbers drop in about 30 minutes. You can see that number right there. Actually, AMD numbers are a little bit later. I think they're at, yeah, they're at 4:15 schedule. But you can see the trend right here. We're over the 200 EMA. Holding that fairly well. And I'm watching this video. I want to make sure it does not play sound. video's terrible, bro. Oh my gosh, dude. What are the ugh, dude. Why does Twitter keep showing me these horrible videos, dude? I don't care about crime watch. Filling my head with nonsense, bro. I don't want to see any of this. Now I got to see what they're saying in the comments. Anyways, AMD at 98.30s right now. Will it break $100? I think is the question. If we look at AMD's PE ratio, AMD has a PE ratio right now of about, it doesn't have a PE ratio, so that means it wasn't profitable. Let me look deeper into this. Check out the EPS graph of AMD recently. It's been a minute since I looked at it. Yeah, so AMD, this is why. So AMD has struggled to turn a profit over the last 4 quarters. You know, AMD 4 quarters ago made 4 cents a share, lost 3 cents a share, lost 9 cents a share, made 2 cents profit per share in the last quarter. This time they're expecting a big bump from that. They're expecting a jump all the way to 68 cents a share. And again, we'll see if we hit it or not. Hey, what's up, Sandy? High AMD leaps. Yeah, maybe for sure. Again, there's been a lot of micro news. And so AMD, I mean, it doesn't really have a PE ratio right now because it's negative, 2 out of the last 4 quarters, right? So it doesn't really have a PE ratio. Not one that is actually going to be usable. Again, looking at our poll numbers, 69% of people think we're going to beat, 31% think we're going to miss for AMD. So again, we'll see what happens. This is a very relevant earnings call, specifically for AI. AI has had crazy, volatility over the last year and a half, realistically. So it's time to, see what happens with AMD. Again, Yemen declared war with Israel just now, just to report on some macroeconomic news. Yeah. All right, again, NVIDIA, we're watching that. Looking at the SPY, man. The SPY's had a good day. Again, my portfolio is looking nice today. SPY all the way back up to 420. Here's what I'm up on stock specifically just today alone. I'm red in some of these positions just to clarify, but we are up a cool $640 basically right now, $637 roughly. So AMD steady pushing up. Again, nice little trend here. Y'all can hear the music, correct? I just want to make sure. Also, y'all remind me to switch my headphones out before the actual AMD earnings call. We're getting a decent amount of people here already for, an earnings call for an earnings release that doesn't happen for 30 or 45 minutes. And so I appreciate it. We'll probably stream the earnings call in that regard. The actual earnings call is at 5 p.m. Market wants to push higher. Price is in a $4 move. So Wait, what? Yair? Where? Rocket? What are you talking about? Where are you from, Yair? Oh, you must be from Israel. Stay safe, bro. AMD will beat and then pop and then drop before popping again during earnings call. Hey, what a call. What a prediction. Okay. Hey, stay safe, bro. All right, AMD earnings today, guys. Again, AMD steady pushing up. We have this trend. I'm just going to extend it to the right so we can see where the trend goes. Sorry. The problem with having so many monitors is I'll lose my mouse. Is the combine for top step trading the actual E-mini, and are all these standard indicators available? So, I mean, I don't know if you necessarily understand it, but I'll go ahead and break it down a little bit more. So you are not trading. I mean, Top Step just recently unveiled their new platform, Top Step X, right? But it's not available to everybody yet. It should be available pretty soon. But outside of their platform, you have the ability to use a bunch of different platforms, not just one specifically. Like you can use TradingView, you can use TradingView, you can use Tradeovate. There's a bunch of different ones, and each platform has different capabilities, indicators, all that stuff. If you know Tradeovate has VWAP, all that stuff. TradingView certainly does as well. And so, yeah. You can trade any futures. I mean, not any futures contract. You could trade the E-mini, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the gold, silver, cattle prices. I'm pretty sure. I would check their site to be sure. And again, if you really want to check it out, I'll post the link. But again, if you really want to check it out, I'll post the link. But yeah, you can use a bunch of different platforms. It's not like you have to use just one platform or anything like that. You can trade micro Bitcoin futures. You can't trade regular E-mini Bitcoin, but you can trade the micro E-mini, I'm pretty sure. Again, slap the like button if you haven't already, team. We appreciate that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Again, so it looks like most people think we're going to beat. We got about 100 votes. 71% think they're going to beat. 29% think miss. Yeah. Yeah, all good, Earl. All right, so again, we got some earnings today. It's nothing. We got AMD, First Solar, Caesars, Paycom all drop right at 4 or 4 or 5 p.m. Lumen drops at 4 or 5 p.m. Match Group, which is Match.com, basically drops at 4:10. That's all the big boys. You know, it's not a huge day, but we're gonna have some earnings at release. So be ready. Again, we'll cover all of them, and then we'll probably stream the AMD earnings call when it goes live. I love your cabinets. Oh, thanks, man. Got my library over here that y'all miss. All right, team. Again, Microsoft pulled it back a little bit. Still pretty green day for equities. You know, green day for equities. Shout out to Ramsey, who said we definitely crashed yesterday. Again, all I'm saying is if you come to my channel and you make some big, bold prediction, you better be ready to be wrong. Because if you're wrong, you'll never hear the end of it. Okay, got your pawn here. Let me pull it up, dude. Okay, yeah, let me get the timer up. So the report is actually scheduled to release. I'm going to make the timer for 4 p.m. on the dot, which is like 21 and a half minutes is what we'll say. But the actual AMD earnings, I believe, is scheduled for 4:15. But they sometimes do drop early. We'll put that timer up again. AMD been a really good day for them as well. Maybe it'll drag on in the rest of AI. The short queue up strong into the close. I mean, doesn't look like it to me, bro. Here's the queue. Yeah, Q looks to be on a pretty obvious upward trend. You know, my drawing's terrible, but it looks like we're in a pretty obvious upward trend. Maybe we hold, maybe we don't. We'll see. BITO, ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF. Oh, what is that? What's in that ETF? I don't know anything about it. What's the difference between that and like one of the other ones? Hey, thanks 35. Appreciate it. Again, y'all remind me to swap my headphones out once we get the call going. UBXY breaking up now. Yeah, that's an inverse volatility ETF. Maybe we'll get some volatility. I don't know. I mean, I think we're such an obvious upward trend though. Again, I think we got to watch. NVDA had a really weak open and then finally starting to rip back up. NVIDIA is actually still technically green. It opened up really, really weak. It did bounce back though. It's at like 410s right now. Zillow? No, Zillow, I don't know what happened with them. Is this on the news that they're getting sued by somebody? They got to pay like 1.5 bill or something like that. Is that Zillow? Let me see. Missouri jury finds the National Association of Realtors brokerages guilty of conspiring to inflate commissions after 2 weeks of testimony. The Kansas City jury found NAR Home Services and Keller Williams guilty of collusion. So the Kansas City jury found the National Association of Realtors, Home Services of America, and Keller Williams guilty of colluding to inflate or maintain high commission rates through NAR's National Association of Realtors Clear Cooperation Rule in the Sitzer-Burnett Buyer Broker Commission lawsuit. Defendants have been ordered to pay $1.78 billion. Treble damages couldn't result in the National Association of Realtors and Brokerages paying more than twice that amount. It also opens the door to potential class action suits being filed in other states. Yeah, that's probably why Zillow's down so much. Jury reached its verdict 2 weeks of testimony. Plaintiffs and defendants. During the testimony, home seller plaintiffs and their lead attorney, Michael Ketchmark, argued that despite the defendants having antitrust rules and regulations, the trade group and corporate brokerages knowingly violated their own rules in order to maintain higher commission rates. Yeah, so again, I know in Texas here, right? And again, I'm going to preface this with like, look, I mean, I'm a licensed realtor. Okay, so technically I'm a licensed realtor. All right, I have my real estate license, to be honest. I just don't ever use it, but like I have it. I'll tell you this. One of the rules here in Texas is that you cannot have that. One of the rules here is that commissions are always negotiable, right? They're always negotiable. You can't tell people that there's a set standard commission rate. I mean, usually it's 3%, right? Usually it's 3% each. So that's 6% total, 3% for the buyers, 3% for the sellers, right? That's typical, but it's not always, and it's certainly not It doesn't have to be that. It's always negotiable, right? And so what it sounds like is that this specific real estate lawsuit that's dropping Zillow dropped from like 40, basically 39.50s down to 35 for a split second at 36 right now. What it sounds like this lawsuit has to do with is that where essentially Keller Williams, the National Association of Realtors, and some other groups were found guilty of essentially colluding with each other to keep those commission rates high. Because again, commission rates for realtors are always negotiable. At least in Texas, that's the rules here, is that they have to be negotiable. It might not just be Texas. It might be the National Association of Realtor rules that I'm referencing. I'll have to go look where the rule comes from. But I know for sure when I trained real estate that you cannot have that you can't collude with anybody to get an interest rate or to get a commission split, that it has to be negotiable, that they can negotiate any split they want, and if we agree to it, we agree to it. Do you have to do CE? Sometimes, maybe a couple courses once every 2 years or something like that, but not really. Again, I don't actually sell homes or anything like that. I have my license just because I wanted it. But again, I rarely use it unless I'm buying a house or something, you know. Realtors are scammers, bro. I know people who are like, realtors are scammers, right? And again, anybody's more than welcome to not use a realtor, right? But you're gonna have to write up some really tricky, some really nuanced contracts that are not easy to write up, that are very difficult. And again, if you don't understand them completely, you're setting yourself up to lose a lot, right? So again, I'm not saying you need a realtor. I'm not advertising myself as a realtor. I don't even have time to be anybody's realtor right now, to be honest. All I'm saying is that I know the people who are like, yeah, realtors are scammers. And again, if you ask them to write the contracts up, they would struggle. So they would struggle, you know? And so it's all good. And again, for buyers, right? For buyers, realtors are free in Texas. The seller generally pays the commissions. So, oh, I know there's standard contracts, but understanding what those standard contracts are is completely different and what they all mean. And again, maybe I'm just biased because I have my real estate license, and so, but so again, Caroline Ellison, Sam Bankman-Fried's ex-girlfriend, says that Sam is aspiring to become the president of the U.S. If he really thinks anybody's about to elect this dude president, this dude couldn't even keep a business budget correct. We're going to let him budget the U.S.? Of course not, man. Sam, if you genuinely think that, dude. Gary Gensler had a quote, a post about Bitcoin. Gary Gensler posted, if Satoshi Nakamoto went as Satoshi Nakamoto for Halloween, would we be able to tell? Happy 5th anniversary to Satoshi's famous white paper that started crypto. Any crypto companies that are tricking investors should start treating them to compliance with the security laws. Gary, I love it, honestly. Troll everybody. I'm okay with it, you know. That's a good troll. I gotta applaud that one. Gary G, the man, you know. Yeah, I mean, I feel you, Randy. I'm not mad at you, man. You believe whatever you guys want to believe. Again, the problem most people face, right, is they're like, yeah, you realtors are scammers. You don't need a realtor. And then they list the house themselves and then it doesn't sell. And they're mad that buyers don't want to show the house because buyers don't want to get screwed on commission. And so they just don't even show the house. They don't even look at it. It's not on the MLS, like, you know, and they wonder why buyers don't want to show the house. And they're like, hey, you know, why aren't these buyers showing you the house? You know, we'll pay you commission. And it's like, yeah, but then the buyer has to do twice the amount of work that they would do. Instead of a seller's agent and a buyer's agent working with them, the buyer is going to have to do all the work for basically what they would if they just did half the work normally. And so in the end, it just doesn't work out for most people in that situation. Some people do. Like, some people are able to sell their house without an agent. And again, people can do whatever they want. I'm not a super active realtor. I don't go out there, you know, marketing myself very much. But yeah, someone placed $1 million worth of puts with January expiry. What kind of puts? That's a pretty loaded question. What kind of puts, bro? SPY puts, S&P puts, you know, NASDAQ puts, you know, Apple puts, Microsoft, AMD puts. Carolina's complicit for sure. Yeah, they all were, man. You know. We got a AMC trader posting. AMC is the only mother of all short squeezes. I hodl AMC forever. I trust Adam Aaron. And then he makes a post. I don't think some of you have any idea of how unbelievably rich you are about to be. Bro, how many times? Like, how long does this go on? Like, AMC traders, right? AMC is at a pre-split price of $1.60. $1.60. Listen, I'm in AMC. I hope it goes up. But how long is this going to go on? You know? Like, to put it into perspective, if a trader right now, if somebody's been holding AMC for over 2 years, right? AMC could rip up from $10, right, to $60, which is 600% increase, you know, and still be down right now. So, like, what kind of parabolic squeeze do people expect? Hey, we got 10 minutes before the AMD earnings, or not. AMD earnings actually scheduled for a little bit later, so it's all good. AMD earnings are actually scheduled for 4:15 release, but we do have Lumen. We've got First Solar, we've got Caesars, we've got Paycom, Match releasing. So we got First Solar is probably the second biggest company right now, FSLR. It is sitting at about 141.80s. Had a red week or so. Again, AMD still in this pretty nice trend here. Puts the look. Is that a Joe Dirt reference or Hannibal reference? AMC still pushing up. Found my property myself, and my agent didn't really do a whole lot from what I could see. I mean, did they write the contract up? You know, buyer's agents, you know, even if they don't show you the properties, like, that's not a lot of the work. Like, most of the work is contract related and negotiation / contract related. So even if you find the house, and again, buyer's agents are free, you know, so like in Texas, at least, like, buyer's agents, like the buyer doesn't have to pay the real estate agent, the seller does. And so in that regard, there's no reason not to use one if you're a buyer. You know, the sellers are the ones that really hate realtors because they're the ones that are paying the fees most of the time, at least. Again, I can't say it's always, it's negotiable, you know. But AMD at 98.30s right now. Q at 351s. So Q looking really strong. Again, we're watching NVIDIA as well. NVIDIA has been incredibly volatile, like I've said. NVIDIA is sitting at 407.50 right now. NVIDIA opened up the day really, really weak. Really weak. You know, opened up around 404. It's still pretty down. It closed yesterday at 411s. Went all the way down to 392. 392 before rebounding all the way back over the volume weighted average price, over the 200 EMA. It's now back up over where it opened up, but it's still technically red on the day. So Yeah, the AMC community needs to watch The Wolf of Wall Street and watch specifically when he starts selling these pink sheet stocks to consumers. You know, he labels it as selling garbage to garbage men. Um, and how does he do it? He tells them that they're going to get rich. He tells them that if they just buy it and hold, that they're going to be able to pay their mortgage. Right? It's the same thing. All right, so AMD just broke down under that trend that we had. It's at $98 a share. We might be able to draw a better trend here. Well, I'm gonna make this bottom at 98 bucks. I mean, we might widen this a little bit. Trying to follow the trend here, but we got the 200 EMA right below us. When does the NASDAQ roll over? Yeah, it's about AMD. Until the hopium is gone. Okay, yeah, you're right, Dashi. My bad, but whatever, point remains. Yeah, again, we need a good market right now. Again, we got Apple earnings the day after tomorrow. It's hilarious how the Wolf of Wall Street helped this guy revive his career. All right, team. Hey, we got 5 minutes before the close. Yeah, I've talked about this a lot before, actually. It's actually really funny because, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio says he hates people like Jordan Belfort and that they're terrible people, that they're horrible people, and that, you know, that he wishes there weren't any more people like Jordan Belfort in the world, right? But he creates this movie that basically glamorizes Jordan Belfort. And people watch the movie, and the movie's really a tale of, like, greed and how greed can destroy you and who you are. But what the Wolf of Wall Street ultimately ends up doing is creating a bunch of Jordan Belfort clones. Now there's thousands of people like Stratton Oakmont, like it's trending and like all this. There's like a million Jordan Belfort clones out there in the world. Jordan Belfort's super famous now, you know, and it's all because of the movie Leonardo DiCaprio decided to make on it. So I think that's very ironic and hilarious. All right, so Intel is going to pay its 12,000 employees overseas a $5,000 war grant. Elon Musk lost more money in the past month than the entire value of Delta, eBay, Zoom, and Snapchat. Musk's unrealized loss is 26 billion. Delta's entire market cap is 20 billion. Zoom's entire market cap is 18 billion. Snapchat's entire market cap is 15 bill. eBay's entire market cap is 20 billion. eBay has had a really bad run though. All right, again, NVIDIA started to turn. We do have this trend confirming here. Hey, we got the closing bell in like a couple minutes. I'm bullish on AMD long term. Short term, I have no idea what it's gonna do. AMD new high of the day. It's not quite there yet. The new high of the day. Okay, yeah, you're right. It actually just tapped it. So again, AMD just cracked highs of the day. Still in this trend that we've been drawing here, and the trend seems to be working fairly well. We got the closing bell in about 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Again, slap the like button, guys. Listen, we got 360 people here. The least you all could do is hit the like button on the stream. You know, let's bring that like count up to over 100. I just feel better. Maybe it's OCD. Just feel better. There we got 2 minutes here, guys. 2 minutes. All right, team. Small pullback. Again, closing bells in 2 minutes. What do you think about Pfizer? Pfizer reported earnings this morning. They didn't really react much to it, to be honest here. They're at 30.50s right now, so they didn't really react that much to earnings, to be honest. Who are you, Ghost? Are you some guy that got banned a long time ago? If you think I remember you, if you are, you're wrong. You know, I'm just assuming that's who you are because you're saying, hey, it's me again. All right, again, we're at 98.50s. NVIDIA bouncing up too. 1 minute before the close. Apple up or down? I don't know, man. Apple earnings are tomorrow, and so I'm torn. All right, get ready, guys. AMD earnings. 30 seconds. Again, we got 85 likes here, guys. Listen, my OCD is just killing me right now. Hit the 15 likes. Please do it now. All right, team. There's the closing bell. All right, watch AMD closely. There's the closing bell. We're going to also keep track of the rest of the earnings that are about to drop. Somehow I got an alarm going off on my phone right at the close. I don't know why. Again, First Solar, FSLR. The first real company dropping numbers, or First Solar, FSLR. I think Palantir. All right, watch AMD. Again, AMD is actually scheduled for, I'm going to go ahead and change this. Because AMD is actually scheduled for 4:15, technically. What's up, Harland? Stay nervous, bro. It's all good. Again, I'm going to throw it in sub-only mode, so subscribe to the channel, guys. You know you want to. Tomorrow we got the FOMC meeting we're going to stream. Does AMD beat or miss? 70% say beat, 30% say miss. All right, we're looking at other earnings. I'll report them as they drop. Match.com drops Google Play suit ahead of antitrust trial, according to Bloomberg. The only other one we have is FSLR. But they don't look like they're out with theirs yet either. Caesars reported 34-cent profit on 29% expectations. Revenue of $3 billion. They expected 2.93. We'll put that up in chat. We'll put all the other earnings aside from AMD up in the chat. All right, First Solar out. Look at this huge move. First Solar's out. They posted net sales of 801 million, income per diluted share of 2 PS or 2 PS of $2.50 for First Solar. They expected 209. Somehow they're just tanking down here. Net cash of 1.3 billion. Sales came in at 801 million, so their sales missed. EPS was 250, sales missed at 801 versus 901 expected. So way worse than expected sales numbers. Although their EPS was good, they posted guidance numbers, it looks like, as well. See, honestly, this is how you report a freaking earnings report, man. They gave me the expected sales backlog. maintaining they put their guidance up on the very top. Like, bro, this is how you do it. Again, net sales 801 million. Net income per diluted share, EPS of 250. Cash balance 1.3 billion. They maintain their full year 23 guidance, and they raised the midpoints of EPS guidance from 750 to 760. Year to date net booking came in at 27.8 GW. Their sales missed, but they reaffirmed their full year guidance, and they raised their midpoint of EPS guidance from 750 to 760. We'll put this number up in chat. There you go. So they raised their full year guidance. You can see those numbers in chat. Now, so AMD is technically scheduled for 4:15. Sometimes they report it early, and sometimes they don't. It really just depends. So again, sometimes they report early, sometimes they don't. It just depends. But they're scheduled for 4:15, so we're technically scheduled for about 11 minutes from now, roughly, give or take. And again, First Solar recently reported theirs. You can see all their numbers right there. First Solar turning all the way back down to 130s here, 130s. AMD still looking strong. Again, we're going to put NVDA chart up. I'm sure NVIDIA is going to react. There's First Solar turning all the way back down. All right, still nothing. All right, Caesar posted their numbers as well. And again, if you want to day trade with me, we actually had a pretty good day trading futures. In futures, you can day trade and there's no PDT rule. You can day trade short, buy market, sell market, all that good stuff. Just like stocks, but there's no PDT rule. You can't actually day trade stocks, but you can day trade the S&P 500 contracts. You can day trade the NASDAQ contracts. The patterns are very similar to like large cap stock patterns, but there's no PDT rule. And the funded account programs are allowed, and most pro day traders trade futures. They're better liquidity in futures. The patterns are similar to large caps. There's no red tape. There's red tape, but there's less red tape in futures for sure. And these funded account programs are allowed, like Top Step. Top Step's the most legit one in the world. They give you a demo, test your skill. And if you can pass the test on the demo while following their rules, the base one, they give you a 50K demo. If you can hit 3K in profit without losing 2K, a 2 to 3 ratio, reasonable. They fund 50K with a 90% split. So if you make that 50K funding and then you make 10K, you get to keep 9K of that. And you get to keep your first $10,000 in profit as a withdrawal as well. Even if you lose, you're only out $49. It's the best of both worlds. Limited risk, but if you're good enough to pass it, you get a 90% split. Great way to learn day trading. You still have some pressure. You still have to learn how to trade under pressure, but it's just not as much and not as much risk. And so if you want to check it out, great way to help support the channel. They are a sponsor of mine. You can check it out right here. All right, guys, we got almost 1,000 people here. We're still waiting for the earnings to drop. Again, they're technically scheduled to release in about 8.5 minutes. So waiting. Match.com looks like their numbers were out, but we're still checking. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, links in the description. Goldman Sachs sees Brent crude prices edging up to $100 BBL by June. Yeah, I'm definitely biased, of course, in Top Step's favor because they pay me money. So RBNZ Financial Stability Report says full impact of rate hikes globally are still to be seen. Banks are prepping for deterioration in asset quality. All right, so First Solar back up a little bit. Still waiting for AMD numbers, guys. Yeah, roughly 6.5. I mean, technically, AMD scheduled for 415. They pay good. I mean, they pay all right. You know, I mean, my channel gets pretty good views. You know, we got 1,000 people here, basically. You know, and so anytime you get that many viewers, like, I'm gonna make money. I mean, I'm doing this obviously to make money. Anybody that says differently is just kind of lying to you. And that should be understandable. I mean, we provide a service. We don't sell any courses or anything like that. Like, we don't charge for content. There's no paywalls behind our content. It's all free. And I always tell people I'm biased, and so I think that's reasonable. You know. So hey, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, team. We appreciate it. We're waiting for these numbers to drop. We got 6 minutes here. AMD has been very flat since the close. Very flat ahead of this earnings report. So apparently the Cybertruck is arrow proof. You know, Joe Rogan shot an arrow at the Cybertruck. And so apparently the Cybertruck does not let arrow goes through it, you know, which is great to know. You know, if we were ever in like a Back to the Future 3 scenario where we go back in time and, you know, we got to worry about somebody shooting an arrow at us, great to know. You know, I can sleep good at night knowing that. Again, AMD is expecting 68 cents per share in profit, EPS, on revenue of 5.4 billion. Those numbers should be out in about 5 minutes. We'll see if they are, but they should be out in about 5 minutes. You'll be able to see when the numbers actually drop because you'll see the volatility that moved from it. Hope AMD crashes 80%. We'll see. Paycom, what's Paycom? Let's see if I can guess the symbol. PYCM? Ah, they should have gone with it. What's Paycom? PACYC. You know that Paycom is dumping down here too. I don't know what happened with them, but they must have dropped some really bad earnings. Look at this drop, man. What a drop, dude. This thing is down huge. Look at Paycom. I don't even know what Paycom is, and I don't invest in companies I don't know. All right, Paycom. 177 EPS beat the 161 estimate. Sales missed by not that much. They guide for fourth quarter revenue 420 to 425 versus 450. So way worse guidance than expected is what this is. This was much worse guidance than expected. Fiscal year 23 revenue came in much lower as well. So their full fiscal year revenue came in low, but this is the one that really hurt them for Paycom. You can see it up in chat. They guided for the fourth quarter, so the next quarter from 420 to 425. They thought it would come in at 450. So that's a pretty big miss for the fiscal year. Again, here's the guidance for the fiscal year as well. So Paycom dumping down. I believe it's a huge overreaction. I don't know enough about Paycom to really say good or bad, but quarterly cash divvy. Yeah, I don't know why it's down so much, to be honest. Seems like an overreaction. Should I buy it? I mean, I don't know enough. Maybe I'll buy a small little piece with a reasonable share size. Like $5 for 5 shares. All right. It's down so much already. We just bought 5 shares of Paycom. We'll see if it treats us right. All right, AMD. About to drop 1,100 people here. 3 minutes. Yeah, I'm taking smaller than that just because it's so risky and volatile pawn, but I took some. It's aerodynamic. Hey, I love it. They should use the Tesla truck in the Back to the Future movie. Yeah. They'll never. They should come out with a Back to the Future movie. The problem is that none of the OG actors, and it would probably just be really disappointing if they did. Like, all the old actors are gone. All right, team, here we go. 2.5 minutes schedule. Yeah, all good, pawn. I'm up a cool $30 already. The only problem is it's kind of scared me with how volatile this thing is, dude. I mean, we're up nicely already. All right, we just took a little bit off. I mean, we made so much very quickly on Paycom, buying that dip, that we just took some more off. We're holding a little bitty piece now and just letting the rest ride. All right, guys, AMD, a minute and a half left. Minute and a half. All right, here we go. We got a minute and a half left. It's time. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. You want to make sure your live button looks like this. To make sure you're fully caught up on stream. If your live button has the red dot next to it, that means you're live. You can also put it in fast forward mode if you want. That'll help you keep up to date with it. NVIDIA bouncing up. Here we go. AMD numbers about to drop right now, though. Let's get ready. Paycom. All right, here we go. 45 seconds. AMD starting to creep up. It's at $99 a share. $99. Let's prepare ourselves. All right, AMD ripping all the way up. 99.50s right now. 99.50s. Are they out? Big volatility showing up. I don't see anything yet. Let me check other sources. All right, retracing back to 99. Doesn't look like anybody's reporting it yet. Maybe this is just pre-earning volatility. And here we go. All right, there we go. Time's up. I'm gonna pause this. Waiting. Nothing out yet. Pretty quiet. $99.15s. Somebody's prepping for it, but it doesn't look like that. Oh, whoa, big drop. I looked away and I looked back. Big drop. AMD numbers are out. AMD today announced revenue of $5.8 billion. 5.8 billion rev. So AMD numbers are out. 5.8 billion. They've dipped heavily from this. They expected 5.4 billion, so better than expected revenue. Diluted earnings per share of 18 cents versus I think 68-cent estimates. So they missed EPS, beat sales. They said earnings per share was 70 cents. I'm sorry, diluted earnings per share was 70 cents. So they beat EPS, they beat sales. 70 cent versus 68 cent expected. They posted 5.8 billion in revenue versus 5.4 billion expected. They said, quote, "We delivered strong revenue and earnings growth demand." Yeah, I'm gonna put these numbers up on screen. So they beat both. Here, they beat both. And again, you can see the numbers right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and read the quotes here. And again, they said, quote, quote, "We delivered strong revenue and earnings growth driven by demand for our Ryzen 7000 series PC processors and record server processor sales." AMD chair and CEO Dr. Lisa Su, she said, quote, "Our data center business is on significant growth trajectory based on the strength of our EPYC CPU portfolio and the ramp of Instinct MI3000 or MI300 accelerator shipments to support multiple deployments in hyperscale enterprise and AI customers. We executed well in the third quarter, delivering year-over-year growth, gross margin, and earnings per share," said AMD EVP, CFO, and Treasurer Jean Hu. "In the fourth quarter, we expect to see strong growth in data center and continued momentum in client, partially offset by lower sales in the gaming segment, and additionally softening of demand in the embedded markets," end quote. So again, I don't know why they're down. I don't see anything really super negative in this earnings report. Data center segment revenue was 1.6 billion, flat year over year. Maybe that could be why. Third quarter gross margin came in at 47%. Non-GAAP gross margin 51% versus 50% year over year for the third quarter. Yeah, I don't know why they're down, but hey. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take some more off of the off of the PAYC trade because we made so much on it. Yeah, data center maybe flat. That's possible. Again, pretty good numbers. Pretty good numbers. I bought the wrong stock. I mean, I got in at 179. We're at 190 right now in about 3 minutes, you know, and I just took profit, you know. So, I mean, I don't know. Seems like it's a pretty good buy to me, but maybe not. Yeah, I don't know why AMD's down, but it's down. Earnings calls in at 5 p.m. Again, so stick around. We're going to stream the full earnings call live. Again, stick around. Appreciate the love. Yeah, because sometimes earnings don't make sense, Grace. Honestly, people ask me all the time. They're like, hey, this company beat EPS, beat sales, beat revenue, beat guidance. Why is it down? Number one, I have no idea. But I can speculate and just tell you this, okay? If it was that easy to make money in stocks, everybody would be rich. If all it took to make money was sit around, wait for an earnings beat, and I could just click buy and make money, everybody would be rich. It's not that easy. It's much more nuanced than that. The investors are very fickle. They might find one thing that they don't like about the earnings report and use that as, you know, some big influence, and then it snowballs from small to big and all that stuff. And so it's just not that easy to make money on earnings plays. It's one of the reasons I always tell people, like, long-term investors watch earnings calls. If you're short-term trading, the worst thing you could do is take some huge gambling position ahead of earnings and try to gamble away at it. It's just not the right move most of the time. Oh, for sure. I mean, we're still very early swing, and so this doesn't really mean much. Yeah, we trade live every day. We cover all the major stuff. We don't sell a course or a service. We put everything out there for free. If you want to check out one of our sponsors, again, check out TopStep. TopStep, you can day trade. We day trade on it regularly. Again, you can day trade in futures, and there's no PDT rule. Most pro traders trade futures in day trading. And a lot of people who try day trading, they either try to do a cash account or they try to day trade penny stocks. Ignore Tim Sykes out there on the internet. The futures market is much less red tape. Again, you're going to be able to trade the same thing every day in what's called the E-mini or the NASDAQ or the Dow, and you're going to be able to learn how it moves and learn the strategies based around it. And there's just more edge there than there's going to be trading penny stocks where you're going to have to find a new one every day, all that good stuff. And again, a great way to just test your skill. Most day traders lose. And so most day traders are going to lose the TopStep Combine because most day traders lose. It doesn't matter where they go. But what they do is they give you a demo and they test your skill. If you fail, you're only out $49. If you're good enough to pass it, they fund you between 50 to 150K. There's a 90% split. It makes a lot of sense if you're learning. Great way to learn with limited risk, but still you got to learn how to trade under pressure and all that good stuff. But they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased in their favor, of course, because they pay me money. But if you want to check them out, here's the link. I appreciate the love. AMD, guys, you can see the numbers on the bottom of the screen. They beat EPS, beat revenue. For whatever reason, they're still down. They're not really down a ton. I mean, they're down, they're down about 5% right now, which might seem big, but it's not the biggest move. It could be worse, I guess. 5% is pretty big, I guess, but it could be worse. Yeah, Bud came out with earnings this morning. But again, if you're watching earnings, you have to understand it's not as easy as sitting around waiting for a company to beat and just click and buy. It's not that easy. Much more complex and nuanced than that. I wish it was that easy. We'd all be rich. Yeah, I mean, I'm holding some stuff long term. I didn't swing AMD though. The quick little trade I made was on Paycom. It dropped from freaking 250 down to 180, 170s. I bought a small dip at 179, rode it up to 190, took profit, still holding a little piece of it left, still up pretty big. But that's not a swing either. It's probably a short-term day trade. I might hold it. I don't know. Again, my equities portfolio is doing pretty well. Again, we're not up as much as we were earlier, but we're up about 6 right now, 600 on Thinkorswim. So, I mean, and we do, again, I'm not a day trading guru. Like, we trade stocks, we trade futures, we trade a little bit of everything. We day trade, we swing trade, we invest. Yeah, well, AMD doesn't even have a PE ratio right now. Yeah, I mean, AMD doesn't even have a PE ratio right now because again, let me look at the graph now. So if we look at AMD's EPS graph, the problem with AMD is that the last, only 2 out of the last 4 quarters were profitable prior to today. So the PE ratio is taking all 4-quarter EPS, adding them up, and then dividing that number, which is the yearly EPS, by the share price of the stock. But in order to get the PE ratio, you have to have 4 profitable quarters in a row, or a yearly EPS. I guess you could probably calculate it without it, but it's not going to be as valid. Anyways, AMD sitting right down here at 93.50s, still sitting pretty tight. I mean, it's not down that much. We're still slightly under the low of today, right? So, we're still red on the day, but it could be worse. We're at 94s right now. It's not really influencing the rest of the market super heavy, I would say. All right, so yeah, AMD sees non-GAAP gross margin at 51.5%. If you look at the guidance, they said in the fourth quarter, we expect to see strong growth in data center and continued momentum in client, partially offset by the lower sales in the gaming segment and additional softening of demand in the embedded markets, end quote. Did they post any other guidance besides that? Because I don't see any other guidance. Let me see if I can find other stuff. Hold on, let me. All right, okay, so here it is. So yeah, for the fourth quarter, AMD expects revenue of 6.1 billion plus or minus 300 million. At the midpoint of the revenue range, this represents year-over-year growth of about 9% and sequential growth of approximately 5%. Non-GAAP, which is generally accepting accounting principles, gross margin is expected to be approximately 51.5%. So yeah, I mean, guidance wasn't great. I'd buy a dip at 84 to 85. Yeah, again, we're going to stream the call live. The call starts in about 35 minutes. Put the timer up to lose the timer. Again, stick around. We're going to stream the full call live. You'll be able to watch everything. Got the timer up for the full call streamed. Put the banner up too. $0.18 EPS saying in Google. That's wrong. I mean, the number you're looking at is diluted EPS. You have to look at adjusted EPS, which was 70 cents. Yeah, you have to look at adjusted GAAP EPS. Yeah, I mean, I already took some profit off Boba. Anytime I'm up that quickly on anything that big, I usually sell pretty fast. I think that's the mistake a lot of people make with stuff like this. It's like they buy it, it rips up for them exactly what they wanted, but instead of selling, they get dollar signs in their eyes and they just get greedy and they start wanting more and more, and then they end up just sitting on it too long and it turns. And the edge on this type of play is really taking profit quickly. With Paycom, like the edge is taking profit quickly. Like we still have a piece, but we're still up really nicely on it. And if we break even under it, then we're gonna get out. NVIDIA's starting to bounce. Yeah, all good. All right, AMD started to bounce back up. Let's see if we got something good showing up. Did they announce something new? Up to over 95 a share for AMD. Looks good. NVIDIA following it up a little bit. Again, we're still kind of like, we're down 5% or so. It's really easy to calculate percentage because it was at basically $100. So we're around 5% right now relative to when the earnings came out. But, you know, we had pushed up so much in anticipation of these earnings that you have to understand extension and the potential outcomes being baked into this. If you wonder why stuff drops like this, all right, like the way you have to understand it is that the reaction to earnings happens before, not after. Some of the reaction, of course, happens as they drop the numbers right here, but a lot of it is baked in already. So like big money bakes into these potential results here, you know, and sometimes they're wrong, but you can see what people think about the earnings, the stock ahead of its earnings report, you know, because that's where we're going to get. And so again, even though the numbers were relatively good, we did have some misses in terms of guidance, which is why they're dropping like this, right? Specifically, the data center revenue was a disappointment here. And so what you basically see is that AMD was already up pretty big ahead of this, right? And so it's coming back down to earth a little bit once these numbers drop. And while the numbers were good, they weren't great because guidance disappointed, specifically data center revenue. And fourth quarter non-GAAP gross margin at 51.5%. And so that's something that you got to understand. That's why the reactions to earnings aren't necessarily, like, I would call them binary. Like, they're not super binary in that if they're good, they're going to go up. If they're not good, they're going to go down, right? It's not just two options. Like, you have to understand that a lot of these potential earnings reactions are already kind of expected once the numbers actually come out. Why are you talking about PayPal, bro? This is not PayPal. This is Paycom on the right side. Nobody's talking about PayPal. Why do you keep saying PayPal? How market happened now? Yes. Ramsey, there you are, bro. What happened to your bear call, bro? What happened? Why wasn't yesterday the market crash of the century, sir? Earnings calls at 5 p.m., Grace. AMD is going further down. Expectations were very high. And the result is nothing compared. Yeah, 29 minutes. Yeah, we're going to get ready to probably sell the rest of this First Solar trade. I mean, we already took most of the profit off. Not First Solar. Here's First Solar right here. This Paycom trade. I'll give it a second, but we already locked in most of the gains. So. First Solar, man, just it wasn't as crazy of a reaction as PACY Paycom, but still. Yeah, I mean, the market didn't really break at all. I mean, here's the SPY. You know, SPY's still very green. If anything, the trend's even more clear on the SPY. Same thing with, like, the Q, NVIDIA, you know, they're all having pretty good days. Apple, pretty solid. Tesla, green. WeWork? What is WeWork? WeWork plans to file bankruptcy next week. I don't even know what WeWork is. Isn't there like a documentary about WeWork? What's the WeWork symbol? We? Yeah, WeWork's falling down. I mean, it's a penny stock. What do you expect here? You know, here's We. Cracking lows at 140s. Yeah, I've never really heard of it. I don't really know what they do. You don't know what WeWork is? No. Again, I'm not a big penny stock fan. I don't really trade penny stocks. Most of them are scammy. You know, and this one definitely is a penny stock right now. I think I heard about this one. I saw the documentary on Netflix about the CEO, right? Yeah, this is him. I know him because he looks like David Tolley. But like they compared it to like a pyramid scheme or something where nobody really knew what they did and like all this stuff. Like I've heard about them. I didn't know was the same stock. I don't really. Again, they're too cheap. And again, this thing went from $600 down to $228 in only a few years. But it's been a few years since this thing had any type of relevancy in markets. It's gonna go. They plan to go bankrupt next week though, so we'll see. Again, Apple, pretty green. Microsoft, pretty green. Tesla, green. Again, tomorrow we got the rate hike decision press conference. Thursday we got Apple. Was the biggest company in 2018. Well, it's a penny stock now. Thoughts on the 10-year yield spiking up? I mean, we're at 4.87%, which is not really that bad. I mean, again, tomorrow's day will be a bigger influence here than anything going on. We're actually up to 4.92%. My bad. So we're up to 4.9. Again, tomorrow will influence the FOMC meeting and press conference will influence this much more than AMD earnings or their call or anything like that. And again, for you guys that don't understand this, I always try to give people a little economic tutorial and understanding about bonds. Like a lot of traders, like day traders, they hear bonds, but they don't really know what they are, what they do, or like how they influence markets. What you got to understand about bonds is that bonds, treasury bonds specifically is what we're talking about. Treasury bonds are basically loaning the U.S. government money with a guaranteed return, right? So when you invest in something like the S&P 500, it'll give you roughly 10% on average. Historically, at least it has, on average each year. But some years are not going to be good, and obviously there's risks because you don't know what the heck the market's about to do. Bonds, on the other hand, are guaranteed returns, right? But you're going to make much less. You're going to make about half of what the S&P will, on average, pay you out. Bond yields right now are almost at 5%, which means if you buy $100,000 in bonds on a 10-year bond, at least $100K worth of 10-year treasury yields or treasury bills, I don't know what they're called. I guess they'd be called bonds. Anyways, if you buy $100,000 worth of the 10-year here, you're going to earn basically 5% annually for loaning the government that much money. And it's guaranteed by the U.S. government, right? So if you loan them $100K, you're going to get basically $5,000 a year in interest payments, and then at the end of that 10-year period, you're going to get your 100K back. So you're basically going to make 50% in 10 years right now by loaning the U.S. government money, and it's guaranteed, right? You'll get paid. I think it's either annually or biannually, but anyways, these are competitive vehicles versus the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, right? So what I mean by that is, some long-term investors, as bond yields spike, right? As bond yields become more favorable, a higher yield is obviously better for the investor because they're going to earn more money. Investors stop buying the S&P 500. And so short-term, what you get is bond yields going up generally means the market is falling down on a short-term basis, right? So that's the first nuance that you want to understand about it. You also hear a lot of the time people talking about the yield curve inversion. I'm sure if you've been trading for, any decent amount of time, you've probably heard the yield curve inversion. What they mean by that is that shorter-term bonds are now paying higher interest rates than longer-term bonds, which is backwards. Because again, if you're holding something for longer, you should get paid more than holding something for a shorter period of time, interest rate-wise, right? And so that's the nuance of the market right now. Bond yields tend to spike when people are scared of the S&P 500, so bond yields spike. And you can look at a lot of different symbols to find it. You can also just type in the 10-year treasury, symbol, which I believe is, I don't know. Some platforms are different. Some platforms will make you put a little slash in front of it. Some do a little asterisk. But I just look at T and X. T and X is the one I watch. It's closed right now, but it'll open up tomorrow. But yeah, that's basically your crash course in bonds. You're welcome. No one here wants T-bills. We know you don't, Ramsey. We definitely know you don't. Yeah, 4.92. Yeah, that's what I see as well. I expect tomorrow bullish. FOMC meeting tomorrow. We don't know what Powell's going to say. Is the music super loud? Somebody said the music's super loud all of a sudden. Is the music all of a sudden really loud? Yeah. It's all right. All right, guys. The earnings call's at 5 p.m. in about 20 minutes. Powell's going to give the same speech. He'll definitely say inflation is still elevated. I mean, he always says that, but I don't know, man. Again, if we look at what the expectations are for, if we look at what the expectations are for this, you can see most people are expecting a pause. So 97.2% of people are expecting a pause. Almost 3% of people expect a rate cut tomorrow, which is highly unlikely, I would say. Of course, I mean, 2.8% is pretty highly unlikely, but again, some people are actually expecting a rate cut. If he raises 25 basis points, it'll definitely shock the market for sure. But again, it's so outside of expected that it's super unlikely. I mean, it could happen. We don't know. It could, but it's just not super likely there, brother. What if you buy bond at 5% and later it drops to 3%? Well, it doesn't matter because you're buying it. It's a contract. Like, you're locked in whatever you buy it at. If it's a 10-year bond, you're locking it. I mean, the thing to understand, though, man, is that the natural flow of economics and inflation are going to happen over that 10-year period. So you're locked in. Like, once you buy it, you're going to get your 5%. But what they don't tell you, and like the nuance of it that you need to understand is that in 10 years, inflation, the sole reason for this is to keep up with inflation, right? So like I know some people who are really stubborn with their cash and they just want to sit on cash and sit on cash and sit on cash, right? But you're losing money to inflation as time goes on, especially over like a 10-year period, so essentially bond yields are just keeping up with inflation to a certain extent, but point is, once you're locked in, you're locked in. Whether it fluctuates back down to 3% or 2%, it's not going to affect you if you bought it at 5. Rate cut was in treasuries to rise. They still are buying bonds. Maybe. Yeah, it's just usually we're not going to surprise people and do like a surprise. The Fed is usually very balanced in that they don't want to shock people, because they understand like shocking people, especially with a rate hike, is going to tank the market. And so usually they're pretty balanced. And again, maybe they do. It's not outside the realm of possibility. It's certainly happened historically. They've obviously surprised people and raised rates unexpected, but it's just unlikely. I mean, it could happen. I hope they don't, because that's usually bad. Yeah, all good, Carlitos. I want to learn options. No, not me. Check out like Tasty Trade. I'm not much of an options trader. AMD's really flat ahead in this earnings call. Again, we got 18 minutes before the call starts. Yeah, dude, honestly, I got a black eye, man. Freaking jujitsu, bro. Look at my black eye. Oh, man, my eye hurts. I'm rubbing my eye because I feel like I got something in it. And I can feel it. It hurts. But yeah, look at my black eye. Jiu-jitsu, man. Y'all can't see it, huh? Look. You see it? Black eye. Yeah, man, I don't even know how I got that, man. It just kind of showed up. Maybe I rubbed my eye too hard. Anyways. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to say A lot. I would. We're going to open red tomorrow after that. Only, yeah. I mean, listen, with somebody as accurate as you are, Ramsey, you know, I mean, listen, we'll see. Sorry, I'm going to troll you never-endingly from it, man. You got to understand that. Anybody that's on my channel, if you make some big, bold prediction and you're telling everybody to do one thing and then the market doesn't do it, you'll never hear the end of it. Again, though, check out my other sponsor here. And again, we got 15 minutes. This is something I've been using a lot. Again, this is a company called Chart Prime. It's a trading view indicator service. You can use it in stocks, crypto, forex, futures. I want you guys to see something. So look at the accuracy rate when this one specific pattern shows up. Like, I'll show you the pattern. All right, you get an engulfing candle. Here's a bullish engulfing candle. And Chart Prime has like chart patterns, reversal signals, buy and sell signals, all that good stuff. And you get the reversal signal and the engulfing candle that show up within, I would say, within 4 candles of each other. So within 20 minutes on a 5-minute chart. All right, look at the beautiful bounce you get. And this is like hours and hours. It's like 3-4 hours. You get a bullish action. All right, and again, there's one that doesn't work here. I saw it a second ago. But this kind of worked. You got two candles of bear action afterwards. So you could probably consider that one worked as well. But again, I challenge you to look at it. Look, there's one that worked. Watch the accuracy rate. There's one that worked. You'll really start to see it in a second, though. Like, look, so here, this is when you really start to see it. And again, you'll notice the closer they are together, like, look, they're right on top of each other. The better the bounce is. You know, that's like 4 hours of bullish action. Again, let's keep going. Let's keep checking it. Those are too far apart. That's like 5 candles away from each other. It worked, though. Like, that bounce would have worked. But again, I got to be fair. Again, they work the best. And you can set alerts for this on TradingView. Look, bullish engulfing candle, reversal signal right on top of each other. Beautiful bounce. Again, you can keep going back here and testing it yourself. Again, it's powerful. Look, bullish engulfing candle, reversal up signal, bounce. Bullish engulfing candle, reversal up signal, bounce. This one too far apart, but still got the bounce. Bullish engulfing candle, reversal up, bounce. Bullish engulfing candle, reversal up, bounce. Look, again, you'll see something, though, when it's right on top of each other like this. The bounce is really, really clean. Same thing here. Bearish engulfing, reversal signal, dip. Same thing here. Reversal up, possible bounce. Or possible reversal up, bullish engulfing, bounce. Powerful. And again, this is just a small piece. I can't guarantee you're going to make money. Nobody can. But again, they offer so much. Like, look, I can put up shorter term. I can put up chart patterns. I can use this on any time frame in stocks, crypto, forex, futures. I can put up smart money concepts. You zoom out, there's just so much stuff that you get for it, and you can get 40% off if you use my link. And again, I can put up like a daily chart. You know, here's a daily chart. You can use it on that. You can see like the longer term wedge breaks, patterns, you know, VWAP, all that good stuff. It's just useful, guys. Again, I can't guarantee you're going to make money from it. I just use it a lot with my trading. Even if I don't base my trading purely off of it, which sometimes I do, but even if I don't, like using it to figure out where the sentiment is, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's like $50 a month if you use my link, I think, as well. So check it out. There's the link. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm certainly biased because they pay me money. I've never actually back tested it on higher time frames. I've never actually tested it, but again, test it yourself. Your face is a deadly weapon for sure. Definitely, you know, top 3. Is AMD really going down? It's mostly sideways right now. It did gap down a little bit though. We did drop some. We're kind of choppy back and forth now though. All right, I'm gonna end this poll. We're gonna do another poll. Got about 1,100 votes on that poll. AMD bounce or dip from its Q3 earnings call. Bounce dip. Vote on the poll. You know, let's take a look at NVDA here. You can check out the link in the description for all the sponsors we have. Yeah, we're gonna show the full call right here. You'll be able to watch all of it live. You won't have to go anywhere. We cover all the major earnings calls here as well. I'm gonna switch headphones out so that I don't forget. But yeah, we're gonna stream the whole thing live right here. I mean, it might say that. Listen, I'm not saying it does, but you know, like right here in this general area, like it might have a message that would answer that question. I'm not saying it is, but like this area right here, you know, just a weather man. No, I appreciate the support, guys. Hit the like button. All right, let me fix this. Here, let me know if you can hear the music right now. You should be able to hear it now. Yeah, make sure my mic is working. Test 1 2 1 2. I don't know when the report ends. Y'all can hear the music though, correct? Music sucks, man. I'm sorry, bargains. Cry about it. Again, we'll see if we actually hold these gains here. We're at $94. There's NVDA. We're at 404.50s. So NVIDIA is not really reacting. NVIDIA will react if some big volatility happens from this earnings call, though. Again, earnings calls and earnings reports can be so nuanced that, again, like you might think it's easy to sit around and just wait for a company to beat and then just buy. It's just not that easy. You know, again, NVIDIA or AMD is a prime example. It beat EPS, beat revenue. One small nuance of call center revenue caused this thing to drop 5% on its earnings report. And so I wish it was that easy to make money from earnings. It's just not. What I always tell people is unless you're investing in it, which I am a lot of the time, unless you're investing in these companies, don't take some huge big position ahead of the earnings report and try to get rich on an options play or something like that. You're most of the time just going to end up crying in the corner, you know? Are you a real money trader? I mean, my Thinkorswim account's got like 60K in it, you know? I'm up a lot today. I mean, we're up pretty good. I mean, here's my TOS account's P&L right now. Not as much as up earlier. We're kind of slowly dipping. We're at $574.59. But again, this is like long-term, short-term. Like we do a little bit of everything. Yeah, I play with Monopoly money, sir. Cheers to the people that are coming here for the music. I get so many people that complain about the music, but when I ask people whether they like it or not, everybody's always like, yeah, keep the music. I get way more people that compliment the music versus dislike it. Oh man, the internet's funny. All right, so we're at 94s right now, 94s. 94 seems to be holding though. It does kind of look like a bear flag, if I have to be honest about it. But you know, a lot of the time flags, like people are all about like flags, like yeah, flags, and that's cool. But you don't. The break of flags is not the most consistent thing ever. You know, so like a flag might happen like this. You know, and this is why they call it a flag, is because it looks like a flag, right? A bear flag might happen like this, and then it breaks on the upside. You know, get your mind out the gutter, guys. But no, a flag might have it like this. You don't know which way it's going to break. It might break on the upside. It might break on the downside. But I'm just not a big fan of like buying bear flags or bull flags. The only way I really find success trading flag patterns or like wedges is when the flag is when the trend line breaks. Not the consolidation of the support or resistance, but when the actual trend line breaks. And so I guess my point here, the overarching point I'm trying to make is that we don't know which way this thing's going to break if it is a flag. It might break to the upside. We don't know. Let's see if it holds 94s. And again, it's ultimately going to depend on what they say during the actual call themselves. So. What about Match.com? I don't know, man. I just don't think companies like Match. I've been saying this for a long time. I don't think companies like Match have much longevity. You know, maybe, I don't know. Like, I've been married for like 12 years. How long have I been married? Don't tell Carol. I think it's like 11 years now. I've been with Carol for like 14. And so it's been a while since I was a single dude. But the problem is that there's dilution of dating apps and services. Right now, everybody's got an app. They got all these specialty apps, you know, farmers only and stuff like that for singles. And so I think over time that's going to dilute Match.com. And I think there's just going to be a lot more ways for people to find dates outside of Match.com over the years. They might still be around, but I think they'll lose market share over time. And maybe I'm wrong. Again, if I'm wrong, explain it to me. Maybe I could certainly be wrong. I don't know. But Match.com posted 57-cent EPS on a revenue of 0.88 billion. They came in neutral for revenue, beat EPS slightly. I'll put the number up in chat. Yeah, we got 4 minutes. All right, so we got the earnings call. We're ready. All right, so AMD under 94s right now. We got the call on hold, waiting for it to start. Y'all can hear the music, correct? I want to make sure y'all can hear the music. I think y'all can because we got some people complaining about it, but it's not my beat to sell, dude. I'm not out here making these beats. I wish I was. I wish I was that good at beat making. I have no idea how to make beats. You know, I mean, I sell it to you anyway, but it's not my beat. All right, AMD at 94s here, team 94s. Okay, you can hear him. All right, good. All right, good. In a second, we're gonna have to mute the music. We got about 2.5 minutes. Again, Match.com at 31.7. All right, guys, AMD at 94s. Again, Match.com started to bounce up a little bit. Again, I just figured nowadays they've got like all these different apps, Snapchat, Facebook, dating, and all these different things. That, you know, the only people I really know that are going to use places like Match are like the older population, you know, who are less tech savvy. They use less apps. That's my guess. All right, we got a minute and a half, team. Again, make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up. What's up, JT? We're doing good, man. All right, 1 minute. All right, we're gonna mute the music here because we have to, and we're gonna start the earnings call. And so again, the earnings call should be in progress pretty soon. Usually they start about a minute. But do you actually sell or does it register at the open? What? All right, will AMD hit 100 today? Let's look at our poll. We did a poll. 63% think we're going to bounce from the earnings call. We got a decent amount of votes on Twitter too. 73% think they're going to beat, 27% think they're going to miss. Yeah, Powell tomorrow. Big day. All right, team, we're live. We're waiting. We should start in about 20 seconds, I would say. Let's see. Yeah, Apple earnings day after tomorrow. Pretty big.
Greetings and welcome to the AMD third quarter 2023
Can y'all hear this?
conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. A brief question and answer session will follow the formal presentation. If anyone should require operator assistance during the conference, please press star 0 on your telephone keypad. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Mitch Hawes, Vice President, Investor Relations. Thank you, Mitch. You may begin.
Thank you, John, and welcome to AMD's third quarter 2023 financial results conference call. By now, you should have had the opportunity to review a copy of our earnings press release and the accompanying slides. If you have not had the chance to review these materials, they can be found on the Investor Relations page of AMD.com. We will refer primarily to non-GAAP financial measures during today's call, and the full non-GAAP to GAAP reconciliations are available in today's press release and slides posted on our website. Participants on today's conference call are Dr. Lisa Su, our Chair and Chief Executive Officer, and Jean Hu, our Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Treasurer. This is a live call and will be replayed via webcast on our website. Before we begin, I would like to note that Forrest Norrod, Executive Vice President and General Manager, Data Center Business Solutions Unit, will attend the UBS Technology Conference on Tuesday, November 28th. AMD will host its Advancing AI event on December 6th, when AMD and its key ecosystem partners and customers will showcase the AMD products and partnerships that will shape the advancement of AI. The event will be live streamed on our website. Jean Hu, Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Treasurer, will attend the Barclays Global Technology Conference on Thursday, December 7th, and our fourth quarter 2023 quiet time is expected to begin at the close of business on Friday, December 15th. Today's discussion contains forward-looking statements based on current beliefs, assumptions, and expectations, speak only as of today, and as such involve risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially from our current expectations. Please refer to the cautionary statement in our press release for more information on factors that could cause actual results to differ materially. With that, I will hand the call over to Lisa. Lisa?
Thank you, Mitch, and good afternoon to all those listening in today. We executed well in the third quarter, delivering strong top-line and bottom-line growth, achieving multiple milestones on our AI hardware and software roadmaps, and significantly accelerating our momentum with customers for our AI solutions. In PCs, there are now more than 50 notebook designs powered by Ryzen AI in market, and we are working closely with Microsoft on the next generation of Windows that will take advantage of our on-chip AI engine to enable the biggest advances in the Windows user experience in more than 20 years. In the data center, multiple large hyperscale customers committed to deploy Instinct MI300 accelerators supported by our latest ROCm software suite and the growing adoption of an open hardware-agnostic software ecosystem. Looking at the third quarter financial results, revenue grew 4% year over year and 8% sequentially to $5.8 billion, driven by record server CPU revenue and strong Ryzen processor sales. Turning to the segment results, data center segment revenue of $1.6 billion was flat year over year and up 21% sequentially, as solid demand for both third and fourth gen EPYC processor families resulted in record quarterly server processor revenue. We gained server CPU revenue share in the quarter as fourth gen EPYC CPU revenue grew more than 50% sequentially, crossing over to represent a majority of our server processor revenue and unit shipments. In cloud, while the demand environment remained mixed in the quarter, EPYC CPU revenue grew by a strong double-digit percentage sequentially as hyperscalers expanded deployments of EPYC processors to power their internal workloads and public instances while optimizing their infrastructure spend. Nearly 100 new AMD-powered cloud instances launched in the quarter from Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, Tencent, and others, including multiple Genoa instances that deliver leadership performance for general-purpose, HPC, bare metal, and memory-optimized workloads. In enterprise, while overall demand remains soft, we are seeing strong indications that the significant performance and TCO advantages of Genoa and our expanded go-to-market investments are paying off as enterprise revenue grew by a double-digit percentage sequentially. We closed multiple new wins with leading automotive, aerospace, financial services, pharmaceutical, and technology customers, and the number of enterprise customers actively testing EPYC platforms on-prem increased significantly quarter on quarter. We also expanded our fourth-gen EPYC processor portfolio with the launch of our Siena processors that deliver leadership energy efficiency and performance for intelligent edge and telco applications. Dell, Lenovo, Supermicro, and others launched new platforms that expand our EPYC CPU TAM to address telco, retail, and manufacturing applications. With the launch of Siena, we now offer the industry's most performant and most energy-efficient portfolio of server processors across cloud, enterprise, technical, HPC, and edge computing. I am very pleased with the momentum we have built for our EPYC CPU portfolio. We are building on this momentum with our next-gen Turin server processors based on our new Zen 5 core that delivers significant performance and efficiency gains. Turin is in the labs of our top customers and partners now, and customer feedback has been very strong, and we're on track to launch in 2024. Looking at our broader data center portfolio, we made significant progress in our data center GPU business in the third quarter, as the multi-year investments we have made in our hardware and software roadmaps resulted in significant customer traction for our next-generation Instinct MI300 accelerators, in particularly our Instinct MI300X GPU that delivers leadership inferencing and training performance. On the hardware side, bring up and validation of our MI300A and MI300X accelerators continued progressing to plan, with performance now meeting or exceeding our expectations. Production shipments of Instinct MI300A APUs started earlier this month to support the El Capitan exascale supercomputer, and we are on track to begin production shipments of Instinct MI300X GPU accelerators to lead cloud and OEM customers in the coming weeks. On the software side, we further expanded our AI software ecosystem and made great progress enhancing the performance and features of our ROCm software in the quarter. In addition to ROCm being fully integrated into the mainline PyTorch and TensorFlow ecosystems, Hugging Face models are now regularly updated and validated to run on Instinct accelerators and other supported AMD AI hardware. AI startup Lamini announced they achieved software parity with CUDA for LLMs running on Instinct MI250 GPUs, enabling enterprise customers to easily deploy production-ready LLMs fine-tuned for their specific data on Instinct MI250 GPUs with minimal code changes. We also strengthened our AI software capabilities with the strategic acquisitions of Mipsology and Nod.ai. Mipsology is a long-standing partner with proven expertise delivering AI software and solutions running on top of our adaptive SoCs for data center, edge, and embedded markets. Nod.ai adds a highly experienced team with a track record of substantial contributions to open-source AI compilers and industry-leading software already used by many of the largest cloud, enterprise, and AI companies. Nod's compiler-based automation software can significantly accelerate the deployment of highly performant AI models optimized for our Instinct, Ryzen, EPYC, Versal, and Radeon processors. Based on the rapid progress we are making with our AI roadmap execution and purchase commitments from cloud customers, we now expect data center GPU revenue to be approximately $400 million in the fourth quarter and exceed $2 billion in 2024 as revenue ramps throughout the year. This growth would make MI300 the fastest product to ramp to $1 billion in sales in AMD history. I look forward to sharing more details on our progress at our December AI event. Turning to our client segment, revenue increased 42% year over year and 46% sequentially to $1.5 billion. Sales of our Ryzen 7000 processors featuring our industry-leading Ryzen AI on-chip accelerator grew significantly in the quarter as inventory levels in the PC market normalized and demand began returning to seasonal patterns. Revenue for our latest generation client CPUs powered by our Zen 4 core more than doubled sequentially as we saw strong demand for our Ryzen 7000 series notebook and desktop processors that deliver both leadership energy efficiency and performance across a wide range of workloads. In commercial, we launched our first Threadripper Pro workstation CPUs based on our Zen 4 core that deliver unmatched performance for multi-threaded professional design, rendering, and simulation applications. Dell, HPE, and Lenovo announced an expanded set of workstations powered by new Threadripper Pro processors as we focus on growing this margin-accretive portion of our client business. Looking forward, we are executing on a multi-year Ryzen AI roadmap to deliver leadership compute capabilities built on top of Microsoft's Windows software ecosystem to enable the new generation of AI PCs that will fundamentally redefine the computing experience over the coming years. Now turning to our gaming segment, revenue declined 8% year over year and 5% sequentially to $1.5 billion, as lower semi-custom revenue was partially offset by increased sales of Radeon GPUs. Although semi-custom SoC sales declined in line with our projections for this point in the console cycle, overall revenue for this console generation continues tracking significantly higher than the prior generation based on strong demand for Microsoft and Sony consoles. In gaming graphics, revenue grew both year over year and sequentially, driven by increased demand in the channel. We expanded our Radeon 7000 series with the launch of new RX 7000 series enthusiast desktop GPUs that offer leadership price performance for 1440p gamers. Turning to our embedded segment, as we expected, revenue decreased 5% year over year to $1.2 billion. Sequentially, revenue declined 15% as lead times normalized and customers focused on reducing inventory levels. We expanded our leadership Versal SoC portfolio in the quarter with the launches of our first adaptive SoCs with on-chip HBM memory that deliver significant performance and efficiency for memory-bound data center, network, test, and aerospace applications. We also announced our next-generation space-grade Versal SoC that integrates an enhanced AI engine and is the industry's only solution that supports unlimited reprogramming during development and after deployment. For the fintech market, we launched our latest Alveo accelerator card that delivers a 7x improvement in latency compared to our prior generation and has already been deployed by multiple trading firms in their ultra-low latency training platforms. Since closing our acquisition of Xilinx a little over a year and a half ago, our embedded business has grown significantly, driven by our leadership products. Looking ahead, based on our current visibility, we expect embedded segment revenue to decline sequentially as customers continue working through elevated inventory levels through the first half of 2024. Over the medium term, we see strong growth opportunities for our embedded business based on our significant design win traction and our broad and differentiated portfolio of embedded FPGAs, CPUs, GPUs, and adaptive SoCs that can address a larger portion of our customers' compute needs. In summary, I'm pleased with our third quarter financial results, driven by the significant acceleration of Zen 4 server and client processor sales. Looking at the next couple of quarters, we expect strong growth in our data center business, driven by both EPYC and Instinct processors. This growth will be partially offset by softening demand in our embedded business and lower semi-custom revenue, given where we are in the console cycle. As the PC market returns to seasonal patterns, we believe we are well positioned to gain profitable share in the premium and commercial portions of the market based on the strength of our product offerings. We are focused on accelerating our leadership AI capabilities across our entire product portfolio, executing on our hardware and software roadmaps, and expanding our enterprise computing footprint. I look forward to sharing more details on our AI progress in a few weeks at our Together We Advance AI event. Now I'd like to turn the call over to Jean to provide additional color on our third quarter results and our outlook for Q4. Jean?
Thank you, Lisa, and good afternoon, everyone. I'll start with a review of our financial results for the third quarter and then provide our current outlook for the fourth quarter of fiscal 2023. We delivered better than expected third quarter results with a revenue of $5.8 billion and a diluted earnings per share of 70 cents. On a year-over-year basis, revenue increased 4% as growth in the client segment revenue was partially offset by lower gaming and embedded segment revenue. Revenue was up 8% sequentially, driven by growth in both the client and the data center segment. Gross margin was 51%, up approximately 1 percentage point year-over-year, primarily driven by stronger client segment revenue and product mix. Operating expenses were $1.7 billion, an increase of 12% year-over-year, primarily driven by higher R&D investment to support our significant AI growth opportunity. Operating income was $1.3 billion, representing a 22% operating margin. Taxes, interest expense, and other was $141 million. For the third quarter, diluted earnings per share was 70 cents, compared to 67 cents in the same period last year. Now turning to our reportable segment. Starting with the data center segment, revenue was $1.6 billion, flat year-over-year, as growth in the EPYC processor sales was offset by decline in adaptive SoC product sales. Data center revenue grew 21% sequentially, primarily driven by strong sales of our fourth-generation EPYC processors to both cloud and enterprise customers. Data center segment operating income was $306 million, or 19% of revenue, compared to $505 million, or 31% a year ago. Lower operating income was primarily due to increased R&D investment to support future AI revenue growth and the product mix. Client segment revenue was $1.5 billion, up 42% year-over-year, primarily driven by higher sales of Ryzen mobile processors. On a sequential basis, revenue grew 46% as PC market conditions continue to improve, and we ramped our Ryzen 7000 series to meet strong demand. Client segment operating income was $140 million, or 10% of revenue, compared to an operating loss of $26 million a year ago, driven by higher revenue and disciplined OpEx management. We are pleased that the client segment returned to profitability in the third quarter. Gaming segment revenue was $1.5 billion, down 8% year-over-year, primarily due to a decrease in semi-custom revenue, partially offset by increase in Radeon GPU sales. On a sequential basis, gaming segment revenue declined 5%, in line with our expectations, as we are now in the fourth year of the console cycle. Gaming segment operating income was $208 million, or 14% of revenue, compared to $142 million, or 9% a year ago, primarily driven by higher Radeon GPU revenue. Embedded segment revenue was $1.2 billion, down 5% year-over-year, primarily due to lower sales to the communication market. On a sequential basis, embedded segment revenue declined 15%, primarily due to inventory correction at the customers in several end markets. Embedded segment operating income was $612 million, or 49% of revenue, compared to $635 million, or 49% a year ago. Turning to the balance sheet and the cash flow. During the quarter, we generated $421 million in cash from operations, and the free cash flow was $297 million. In the fourth quarter, we expect to pay approximately $550 million in cash taxes, primarily due to previously deferred taxes from California disaster relief efforts made available by the IRS. Inventory decreased sequentially by $122 million to $4.4 billion. At the end of the quarter, cash equivalents, and short-term investment was strong at $5.8 billion. We returned $511 million to shareholders, repurchasing 4.8 million shares, and we have $5.8 billion in remaining share repurchase authorization. Now turning to our fourth quarter 2023 outlook. We expect revenue to be approximately $6.1 billion, ±$300 million, an increase of approximately 9% year-over-year and 5% sequentially. Year-over-year, we expect revenue for the data center and the client segments to be up by strong double-digit percentage. The gaming segment to decline given where we are in the console cycle, and the embedded segment to decline due to additional softening of demand in the embedded market. Sequentially, we expect data center segment to grow by strong double-digit percentage, client segment revenue to increase, and the gaming and embedded segment to decline by double-digit percentage. We expect non-GAAP gross margin to be approximately 51.5%, non-GAAP operating expenses to be approximately $1.74 billion, non-GAAP effective tax rate to be 13%, and the diluted share count is expected to be approximately 1.63 billion shares. In closing, I'm pleased with our execution in the third quarter, with year-over-year growth in revenue, gross margin, and earnings per share. In the fourth quarter, we expect to benefit from strong data center client momentum, driven by MI300 AI accelerated ramp and the strength of our high-performance leadership Zen 4 family of products, despite lower sales in the gaming segment and additional softening of demand in the embedded market. Looking ahead, the investment we are making in AI across our data center, client, gaming, and the embedded segment enable us to offer one of the best industry's broadest portfolio, targeting the most compelling opportunities and positioning us to drive a long-term profitable growth. With that, I'll turn it back to Mitch for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Jane. John, we're happy to poll the audience for questions.
Thank you, Mitch. We will now be conducting a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star one on your telephone keypad. A confirmation tone will indicate that your line is in the queue. You may press star two if you would like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. We ask that you please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Thank you. One moment, please, while we poll for questions. And the first question comes from the line of Toshiya Hari with Goldman Sachs. Please proceed with your question.
Great. Thank you so much. Lisa, I had two questions. My first one is on the data center GPU business. You talked about 24 revenue potentially exceeding $2 billion. I was hoping you could provide a little bit more color. What percentage of this is AI versus supercomputing or other applications? Within AI, maybe talk about the breadth of your customer lineup. And how should we think about which workloads you're addressing, again, within the context of AI? Is it primarily training or inference or both?
Great. Thanks, Toshiya, for the question. So, look, we've made significant progress on the overall MI300 program. I think we're very happy with how the technical milestones look, and then also we've made significant progress from a customer side. Your question as to how the revenue evolves. So, the way to think about it is in the fourth quarter, we said revenue would be approximately $400 million, and that's mostly HPC. With the start of our AI ramp. And then as we go into the first quarter, we actually expect revenue to be approximately similar in that $400 million range. And that will be mostly AI, so with a very small piece being HPC. And as we go through 2024, we would expect revenue to continue to ramp quarterly. And again, it will be mostly AI. Within the AI space, we've had very good customer engagement across the board. From hyperscalers to OEMs, enterprise customers, and some of the new AI startups that are out there. From a workload standpoint, we would expect MI300 to be on both training and inference workloads. We're very pleased with the inference performance on MI300. So especially for large language model inference, given some of our memory bandwidth and memory capacity, we think that's going to be a significant workload for us. But I think we would see a broad set of workloads as well as broad customer adoption.
Thank you. And then as my follow-up, a question on the server CPU side. You talked about Genoa, growing really nicely in the quarter. I think you talked about both units and volume being bigger than its predecessor. Is the growth that you're seeing, or the growth that you saw in Q3 and the growth that you're guiding to for Q4, is this primarily a function of share growth, or are you actually seeing a pickup in the overall market? And I ask the question because obviously year to date there's been a significant shift away from traditional compute to accelerated computing, but are you actually starting to see signs of stabilization or even improvement on the traditional compute side? Thank you.
Sure. So the way I would frame it is we're very pleased with our third quarter performance as it relates to EPYC overall. I think the fourth gen EPYC, so that's Genoa plus Bergamo, actually ramped very nicely. We got to crossover in the third quarter, which is a little bit ahead of what we had previously forecasted. And when I look underneath that, I would say it was a strong growth in both cloud. Cloud was strong, so strong double digits. The adoption is pretty broad across first party and third party workloads and new instances. And then on the enterprise side, we've also seen some nice growth across our OEMs. And so from the standpoint of, is it the market recovery or is it share gain? I think it's some of both. From a market standpoint, I would say it's still mixed. I think enterprise is still a little bit mixed, depending on sort of which region from a macroeconomic standpoint. Cloud depends a bit on the customer set, but overall, I think we're pleased with the progress, and the leadership of EPYC has ended up allowing us to grow substantially in the third quarter and then into the fourth quarter.
And the next question comes from the line of Aaron Rakers with Wells Fargo. Please proceed with your question.
Yeah, thank you for taking the question. Just to build off that last question, Jean, I think last quarter you kind of endorsed the notion that your data center business would grow. I think it was in the high single digit range. I think you started the year thinking like 10. So I guess the question is, do you still see that kind of growth rate, set up? And how has that $400 million evolved, underneath of that? Was it $300 million now going to $400? Just how has that changed over the course of the last quarter? Just to level set that data center expectation.
Yeah, so I think for the second half, we said we expect data center business to grow approximately 50% versus first half. Right now, based on what we're saying, we continue to see in that similar range of that 50%. So we are very happy and pleased about the strong momentum of our data center business. On the GPU side, Lisa mentioned about $400 million, around $400 million. As we go through the quarter, we have a strong engagement with the customers. So we do see the progress continues, and we see customers placing orders. So that's why when we go through the quarter, we start to increasingly confident about the revenue profile in Q4 we are guiding.
Yeah, and Aaron,
Yep.
if I can
And
just
then,
add to that, if I can just add to that, I think what we've seen is the adoption rate of our AI solutions has given us confidence in not just the Q4 revenue number, but also sort of the progression as we go through 2024.
yep, that's helpful. And maybe just the follow-up, how would you characterize the supply side of the equation? As you look at that 2 billion number, do you feel confident that you've got adequate visibility in the supply side to hit those expectations? Any update on that side?
Sure, Aaron. So, we've been, planning the supply chain for the last year, and we're always planning for success. So certainly for the current forecast of greater than 2 billion, we have adequate supply. But we have also planned for a supply chain forecast that could be significantly higher than that, and we would continue to work with customers to build that out.
And the next question comes from the line of Joe Moore with Morgan Stanley. Please proceed with your question.
Great, thank you. Following up on the data center GPU, can you talk about the breadth of customers that you might see there? I assume it's fairly concentrated in year one, but you also did mention multiple hyperscalers. Can you just give us a sense for how concentrated that might be?
Yeah, sure, Joe. So we've been engaging broadly with the customer set. I think in the last earnings call, we said that our engagements had increased 7 times. And so there is a lot of interest in MI300. We will start, let's call it more concentrated in cloud, sort of several large hyperscalers. But we're also very engaged across the enterprise. And, there's a lot of interest. Our partnerships with the OEMs are quite strong. And when we think about, sort of the breadth of customers who are looking for AI solutions, we certainly see an opportunity, especially as we get, beyond the initial ramp to broaden the customer set.
Great. And now that you're getting a look at volume in that space, can you talk about, are the gross margins there going to be comparable to your other data center businesses?
Yeah, so on the gross margin side, we do expect our GPU gross margin to be accretive to corporate average. Of course, right now we're at a very, very early beginning of the ramp of the product. As you probably know, typically when you ramp new product, it takes some time to improve yield, testing time, manufacturing efficiency. So typically it takes a few quarters to ramp the gross margin to a normalized level. But we are quite confident that our team is executing really well.
And the next question comes from the line of Timothy Arcuri with UBS. Please proceed with your question.
Thanks. Lisa, I also wanted to ask about that $2 billion number for data center GPU next year. That's still a pretty small portion, obviously, of the total TAM. Where do you think that share can go? Do you think when we look at this out a couple of years, do you think you can be 15, 20% share for total data center GPU, or do you have aspirations to be even larger than that?
Yeah, Tim, I mean, I would say that, first of all, this is a incredibly exciting market, right? I think we all see the growth in generative AI workloads, and the fact is we're just at the very early innings of people truly adopting it for enterprise, business productivity applications. So I think we are big believers in the strength of the market. We had previously said we believe that the compound annual growth rate could be 50% over the next 3 or 4 years. And so we think the market is huge, and there will be multiple winners in this market. Certainly from our standpoint, we want to be, we're playing to win, and we think MI300 is a great product, but we also have a strong roadmap beyond that for the next couple of generations. And we would like to be a significant player in this market. So we'll see how things play out. But overall, I would say that I am encouraged with the progress that we're making on hardware and software, and certainly with the customer set.
Thanks a lot. And then, Jean, I just wanted to ask on March. I know that there's a lot of moving parts. It sounds like data center's up, but PC is going to be down, normal seasonal, and embedded in gaming sound down as well. So can you just help us shape sort of how to think about March? Is it down a smidge? Is it flat? Could it be up a little bit? And maybe then how to think about like first half, back half next year, if you even wanted to go there. Thanks.
Hey, Tim, we're guiding 1 quarter at a time. But, just to help you with some of the color, as Lisa mentioned earlier, we said the data center GPU revenue will be flattish sequentially. That's the first thing, right? The mix will shift from El Capitan majority in Q4 to predominantly more for AI in Q1. So that because of the long lead time manufacturing cycle, we feel like it's going to be similar level of revenue with the data center GPU. But in general, if you look at our business, we do have a seasonality. Typically Q1, the client business, the server business, gaming business seasonally is down. Of course, right now, we definitely have a little bit more than seasonality given embedded and the gaming dynamics we are seeing right now. Server and the client typically were down sequentially, seasonally too. But overall, I think we are really focused on just execution. We probably can provide more color when we get close to Q1 2024. And especially, Lisa, please add if we have any color we can provide on the whole year 2024.
Yeah, no, I think that covers it. You know, when we look at the various pluses and minuses, I think we feel very good about the data center business. You know, it continues to be a strong growth driver for us. You know, as we think about 2024, for both you know, server as well as our MI300 client as well, we think incrementally improves from a market standpoint, as well as we believe we can gain share given the strength of our product portfolio. And then we have the headwinds of embedded in the inventory correction that will go through in the first half and the console cycle. So I think those are the puts and takes.
And our next question comes from the line of Vivek Arya with Bank of America. Please proceed with your question.
Thanks for taking my question. Lisa, on the MI300, many of your hyperscaler customers have internal ASIC solutions ready or in the process of getting them ready. So if inference is the primary workload for MI300, do you think it is exposed to replacement by internal ASICs over time, or do you think both MI300 and ASICs can coexist, right, along with the incumbent GPU solution?
Yeah, I think, Vivek, you know, when we look at the set of AI workloads going forward, we actually think they're pretty diverse. I mean, you have, you know, sort of the large language model training and inference. Then you have, you know, what you might do in terms of, you know, fine tuning, you know, off of a foundational model. And then you have, you know, let's call it, you know, straight inference, what you might do there. So I think within that framework, we absolutely believe that MI300 has a strong place in the market. And that's, you know, what our customers are telling us, and we're working very closely with them. So, you know, so yes, I think there will be, you know, other solutions, but I think particularly for the LLMs, I think, you know, GPUs are going to be the processing of choice, and MI300's very capable.
Got it. And then a question, Lisa, on just this interplay between AI and traditional computing. You know, it seems like, especially when it relates to ASPs and units, seems like server CPU makers are kind of holding the line on price per core, but at the same time, the cloud players are extending the depreciation and replacement cycle of traditional server CPUs. So I'm just curious to get your take. What do you think is the interplay between units and ASP? Right, if you were to take a snapshot of what you have seen in 23 and how it kind of informs you as you look at 24, that is it possible that maybe unit growth in servers is not that high, but you're able to make up for it on the ASP side? So just give us some color on, you know, one, what is happening to traditional computing deployments, and secondly, is there a difference in kind of the unit and ASP interplay on the server CPU side?
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Vivek. So, I mean, if I take a look at 2023, I think it's been a mixed environment, right? There was, you know, a good amount of, let's call it, you know, a caution and in the overall server market. There was a bit of inventory digestion at some of the cloud guys, and then some optimization going on with enterprise, again, somewhat mixed. I think as we go forward, you know, we've returned to growth in the server CPU market. Within that realm, because you know, these, you know, like for example, you know, fourth gen EPYC somewhere between 96 and 128 cores. I mean, you just get a lot of compute for that. So I do think there is the framework that you know, unit growth may be more modest, but you know, ASP growth, you know, given the core count and the compute capability, will contribute to overall growth. So from a traditional, sort of server CPU standpoint, I think we do see those trends. 2023 was a mixed environment, and I think it improves as we go into 2024.
And the next question comes from the line of Blayne Curtis with Barclays. Please proceed with your question.
Thanks for taking my question. I want to ask on the embedded side, I think last quarter you kind of talked about the headwinds being mostly in the communications end market. You're getting it down in December. I was curious, if that weakness is spread. And then your competitor talked about kind of a reset getting back to pre-pandemic levels. I'm just kind of curious how you frame that reset. You said it'd be weak to the first half.
Yeah, absolutely, Blayne. So I think when we look at end markets, I think communications, was weak in, sort of last quarter, and it certainly continues to be weak. We see, 5G, sort of CapEx just down overall. On the other market where we see a little bit of, let's call it soft end market demand would be industrial, and that's a little bit more geographic, so a little bit worse in Europe than in other geographies. The other end markets are actually, relatively good. And what we just see is that inventory is high, just given where we were with lead times, coming into, sort of through the pandemic and with the high demand that was out there. As the lead times have normalized, people are drawing down their inventories, and they have an opportunity to do that given the normalization. So from an overall standpoint, we think demand is solid, and what we view is that we have a very strong portfolio embedded. We like sort of the combination of the, let's call it the classic Xilinx portfolio together with the embedded processing capabilities that we add. Customers have seen sort of that portfolio come together, and we've gotten some nice design win traction as a result of that. So we have to get through sort of the next couple of quarters of inventory, correction, and then we believe we'll return to growth in the second half of the year.
Thanks. And then I just wanted to ask on the PC market, I think you and Intel have seen, you were under shipping in the first half. Maybe you're kind of over shipping a little bit now, restocking. I'm just kind of curious your perspective of what that normalized run rate is in terms of the size of the PC market and, kind of any perspective if inventory levels are starting to move back up.
Yeah, I would say, again, Blayne, when we look at, sort of the third quarter and sort of the environment that we're on now, I think inventory levels are relatively normalized. And so, the sell-in and consumption are fairly close. We were building up for a holiday season that is a strong, season for us overall. When I think about the size of the market, I think from a consumption standpoint, this year is probably somewhere like 250 to 255 million units or so. We expect, some growth going into 2024 as we think about, sort of the AI PC cycle and some of the Windows refresh cycles that are out there. And I think the PC market returns to, let's call it a typical seasonality, in which underneath that, we have a strong product portfolio, and we are, very much focused on growing in, places like, high-end gaming, ultra-thins, premium consumer, as well as commercial. So those are, that's how, sort of we see the PC market.
And the next question comes from the line of Matt Ramsey with TD Cowen. Please proceed with your question.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Lisa, I wanted to maybe ask the AI question a little bit differently, not just focused on your GPU portfolio, but more broadly. I think one of the big surprises to a lot of us is how quickly the AI market changed from accelerator cards to selling full servers or full systems for your primary competitor. And they've done a lot of innovation, not just on GPU, but on CPU, on their own custom interconnect, et cetera. So what I'd like to hear a little bit of an update on is just how you think about your roadmap going forward across CPU, GPU, and networking, and particularly the networking part as you look to continue to advance your AI portfolio. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I think it's an important point. What we're seeing with these AI systems is, they are, truly, complicated when you think about putting all of these components together. We are certainly working very closely with our partners in putting together, sort of the full system, CPU, GPUs, as well as the networking capability. Our Pensando acquisition has actually been really helpful in this area. I think we have a world-class team of experts in this area, and we're also partnered with some of the networking ecosystem overall. So, going forward, I don't think we're going to sell full systems, let's call it AMD branded systems. We believe that there are others who are more set up for that. But I think from a definition standpoint, and when we're doing development, we're certainly doing development with the notion of what that full system will look like. And, we'll work very closely with our partners to ensure that that's well defined so that it's easy for customers to adopt our solutions.
Got it. Thank you for that perspective. As my second question, Jean, I wanted to dig into gross margin a little bit and just, I guess, compliment you and the team on being able to guide up for the fourth quarter sequentially gross margin. If we'd have, I guess, rewound the clock back to the beginning of the year and the embedded segment would be down from the peak to where you're guiding the fourth quarter, maybe down by a third, I wouldn't have thought gross margin would have hung in as well and grown sequentially each quarter through the year. Obviously, client margins got better, but maybe you could walk us through some of the puts and takes on gross margin and inside of each segment where you're making progress, because I imagine some of that progress is pretty positive underneath. Thanks.
Yeah, Matt, thank you for the question. Yeah, there are a few puts and takes, especially in a mixed demand environment. So let me just comment on Q3 first. We are very pleased with our gross margin expansion sequentially, 140 basis points. As you mentioned, the better segment revenue actually declined double digits sequentially. There are two primary drivers. The first one is definitely the data center grew 21% sequentially, which provide a tailwind to our gross margin. Secondly, as we go through the inventory correction in PC market, we did encounter some headwinds in the client segment gross margin. And in Q3, we saw very significant improvement with our client segment gross margin. I think going forward, the pace of client segment improvement will moderate, but will continue to drive incremental gross margin improvement in client segment. So that really is why we are able to drive sequential growth in Q3. And in Q4, I would say the major dynamics is with a very strong double-digit growth in data center business. We definitely have the tailwind, which more than offset the embedded segment decline sequentially double-digit again. I think going forward, it's really mixed. Primarily mixed is driving our gross margin, but we feel pretty good about second half next year when we can expand the data center significantly and especially embedded segment start to recover. We should be able to drive more meaningful gross margin improvement in second half.
And the next question comes from the line of Ross Seymour with Deutsche Bank. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Lisa. I had a question on the MI300 side of things. When you go to market, obviously there's been shortages this year of GPU accelerators, and so a second source is definitely needed. But beyond just providing that second source role, can you just walk us through some of the competitive advantages that the customer list that you're going to talk about on the 6th is finding to be so attractive relative to your primary competitor?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things, Ross. I mean, if we start with it's just a very capable product. The way it's designed from a chiplet standpoint, we have very strong compute as well as memory capacity and memory bandwidth. In inference in particular, it's very helpful. And the way to think about it is, on these largest language models, you can't fit the model on one GPU. You actually need multiple GPUs. And if you have more memory, you can actually use fewer GPUs to infer those models. And so it's very beneficial from a total cost of ownership standpoint. From a software standpoint, this has been perhaps the area where we've had to invest more and do more work. Our customers and partners are actually moving towards an area where they're more able to move across different hardware. So, really optimizing at the higher level frameworks. And, that's reducing the barrier of entry of, sort of taking on a new solution. And we're also talking very much about, going forward, what the roadmap is. It's very similar to our EPYC evolution. When you think about, sort of the, our closest partners in the cloud environment, we've worked very closely to make each generation better. So I think MI300 is an excellent product, and we'll keep evolving on that as we go through the next couple of generations.
Then for my follow-up, I want to focus on the OpEx side of things. You guys have kept that pretty tight over the years. Gene, I just wondered what the puts and takes on that might be heading into 2024. I think you're exiting this year at about up kind of high single digits, maybe 10% year over year. Any sort of unique puts and takes, especially as you guys are driving for all that MI300 success, as we think about OpEx generally in 2024?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Our team has done an absolutely great job in reallocating resources, budget envelope to really invest in the most important areas in AI and the data center. We are actually in the planning process for 2024. I can comment on a very high level. Given tremendous opportunities we have in AI and the data center, we definitely will increase both R&D investment and the go-to-market investment to address those opportunities. I think the way to think about it is our objective is to drive top-line revenue growth much faster than OpEx growth. So our investment can drive long-term growth, and we also can leverage our operating model to really actually expand earnings much faster than revenue. That's really how we think about the running the company and the driving the operating margin expansion.
And the next question comes from the line of Harsh Kumar with Piper Sandler. Please proceed with your question.
Yeah, hi, Lisa. I had a strategic one for you and then somewhat of a tactical one. On the strategic side, as your key competitor is sort of getting their act together on the manufacturing technology and the nodes, would it not be feasible to think that their manufacturing costs could be significantly better, let's say, than that of yours? And so if that's the case down the line, a year, 2 years out, I'm curious what kind of value add offerings would AMD have to provide to a customer to keep the market share that you have in the server space, data center space, and then keep that growing as well?
Yeah, Harsh, maybe I should just take a step back and just talk about sort of the engagement that we have with our data center customers. When we think about, sort of the EPYC portfolio and what we've been able to build over the last few generations and what we have going forward with Zen 5 and beyond, process technology is only one piece of the optimization. It's really about process technology, packaging. We're, leading sort of the usage of chiplets and 2.5D and 3D integration. And then when you go to, architecture and design. So it's really the holistic product. And from a pricing standpoint, actually, price is only one aspect of the conversation. Much of the conversation is on how much performance can you give me at what efficiency. So from an overall efficiency standpoint, I think we've developed fantastic products. We, are working closely with our customers to ensure that we continue to evolve our overall portfolio. So I think from a value-added standpoint, it's providing the best TCO is what what our customers are looking for, and that's where our roadmap is headed. Going forward, I think having the CPU, the GPU, the FPGAs, the DPUs, I think it gives us actually a nice portfolio to really optimize, not just on a single component basis, but on sort of all of the different workloads that you need in the data center.
Very helpful, Lisa. And then for my follow-up, a lot of folks that we talk to, think that compute game is shifting completely from CPUs to GPUs. So it was actually very encouraging to hear you talk about your core EPYC CPUs and the traction that you're seeing with the new generation of CPUs. So I'm curious if I was to ask you, how you think your long-term growth prospects for the next, call it 2 to 3 to 4 years are for your CPU business, not the GPU, but the CPU business. I'm curious what the answer would be.
Yeah. So look, I'm a big believer and you need all types of compute in the data center, especially when you look at the diverse set of workloads. There's a lot of excitement around AI, and we are, very much clear that that is the number one priority from a growth standpoint going forward. But the EPYC CPU business, we feel like we've consistently gained share, throughout the last few years. And even with that, we're still underrepresented in large portions of the market, right? We're underrepresented in enterprise. We've seen some, nice sort of sequential growth and nice prospects there, but there's a lot more we can do in enterprise. And we're still underrepresented in cloud third-party workloads, which, again, you have to sell through the cloud manufacturers. So I think overall we feel good about our EPYC leadership and also our go-to-market efforts that will help us continue to grow that business in 2024 and beyond.
Operator, we have time for 2 more questions.
Okay, and the next question comes from the line of Stacy Rasgon with Bernstein Research. Please proceed with your question.
Hi guys, thanks for taking my questions. First, I wanted to just dial in on the Q4 guidance. If you are going to grow data center 50% half over half, and I assume client is up sequentially, it implies gaming and embedded both likely down sequentially in the 20% range. I know you said double digits, but is that right? And if that is true, especially for embedded, what does that mean going forward into next year? I know you said it's going to be weak in the first half. Does that mean, is it stable at these levels, or does it continue to decline through the first half until things stabilize? Just how do I think about that in the context of the guidance that you've given for Q4?
Yeah, sure, Stacy. Let me take that, and then Jean might add a few comments. So, without getting very specific, I would say I think your comments about data center and client are correct. And then from an embedded and gaming standpoint, we would say embedded, think about it down similar levels, sort of in the teens compared to, sort of Q3 was down in the teens and Q4 will be down in the teens. And then, gaming from a console standpoint, we do expect that to be down a bit more than that. And then as we go into Q1, again, without being there are lots of things that need to happen. We would expect that both gaming and embedded would be down into Q1 as well, and sort of the other comments would be more around seasonality. Does that help?
That does help. Thank you. For my follow-up, again, I wanted to ask about gross margins. So I know that they've been expanding through the year, but for the full year, they're actually down. And I get the mixed things and everything else. But as I look into next year, how do I think about this? Because it sounds like embedded is going to be pretty weak next year. Client is what it is. Data center is growing, but it does feel like even if the GPUs are accretive, they're not accretive yet, and it's going to take them a while to get to be accretive. How much do you think you can expand gross margins year over year, like in 24 versus 23, given the trends that we have entering the year?
Yeah, hi, Stacy. I'll say the first thing is if you look at 2023, it's a very unusual year for the industry, right? Especially the PC market. It's one of the worst down cycle during the last 3 decades. So during that kind of a down cycle, definitely, we had headwinds on gross margin side on our client business, which we have made a significant progress in Q3 and Q4 in second half. Going into next year, the mix primarily is the driver of our gross margin. The way to think about it is the data center is going to be the largest incremental revenue contributor next year. And then with both gaming and embedded facing, continued sequential decline, I think it's all about the mix. We do expect next year will improve gross margin versus 2023, especially second half. So that's how we think about it right now.
And our final question comes from the line of Christopher Rowland with Susquehanna. Please proceed with your question.
Thanks for the question. There was an article suggesting that you guys could be interested in doing some ARM-based CPUs. I guess I'd love any thoughts that you have there on that architecture for PC. But also, Apple has their M3 out now. It seems pretty robust. Qualcomm has an X-Elite new chip. It was rumored NVIDIA might be doing that as well. Would love your expectations for this market, and what does that mean for the TAM for AMD moving forward?
Yeah, sure, Chris. Thanks for the question. So, look, the way we think about ARM, ARM is a partner in many respects. So we use ARM, throughout parts of our portfolio. I think as it relates to PCs, x86 is still the majority of the volume in PCs. And if you think about sort of the ecosystem around x86 and Windows, I think it's been a very robust ecosystem. What I'm most excited about in PCs is actually the AI PC. I think the AI PC opportunity is an opportunity to redefine what PCs are in terms of a productivity tool and, really, sort of operating on, sort of user data. And so I think we're at the beginning of a wave there. We're investing heavily in Ryzen AI and the opportunity to really broaden sort of the AI capabilities of, PCs going forward. And I think that's where the conversation is going to be about. It's going to be less about, what instruction set you're using and more about what experience are you delivering to customers. And, from that standpoint, I think that we have a very exciting portfolio that I feel good about over the next couple of years.
Thank you, Lisa. And one quick one on FPGA for the data center in particular. That was a really cool fintech win. I understand that. Can you talk about where we stand in data center FPGA and that outlook, FPGA for AI, and could we even mix in an FPGA into the MI300 tile at some point, or is there really, at this point, not an AI market for FPGA?
Yeah, I mean, Chris, the way I think about sort of FPGAs in the data center, it's another compute element. We do use FPGAs, or there are FPGAs in a number of the systems. I would say from a revenue contribution standpoint, it's still relatively small in the, sort of in the near term. We have, some design wins going forward that we would see that content grow, but that won't be, so much in 2024, that it will be, beyond that. And, part of our value proposition, I think, to our data center, partners is, look, whatever compute element you need, whether it's, CPUs or GPUs or FPGAs or DPUs, or, we have the ability to sort of bring those components together. And that is a strong point as we think about, just how heterogeneous these data centers are going forward. So thank you for that.
At this time, we have reached
Great
the end of
job.
the question and answer session. Now I'd like to turn the floor back over to Mitch for any closing comments.
Great, John. That concludes today's call. Thank you to everyone for joining us today.
All right, guys. So that is the end of the call today. What did you guys think? AMD, I hear people mad, but like AMD has honestly pushed up a heavy amount since the call. Prior to the call, AMD was actually down from the guidance numbers and we're basically flat from the call. And so I consider that a win today. I think a lot of people are just kind of gambling on options and earnings and stuff like that. So y'all chill, but everything's fine. Hey, thank you. I appreciate the love, guys. Thanks so much. Again, if you want to check out our sponsors to help support content like this, y'all stay safe tonight. Again, there's a lot of craziness in the world right now, so y'all stay safe and healthy. Again, everybody look at my black eye really quick. Look at that black eye right there, man. Just looking tough over here. But anyways, if you want to check out our sponsors, if you haven't already, check out TopStep funded account program and futures. They give you a demo. They test your skill in day trading. If you can pass their test, they fund you between 50 to 150K with a 90% split. So if you get funded, you make 10K. You get to keep 9 of that, and you get to keep your first 10,000 in profit. And in the futures market, there's no PDT rule, and you're basically day trading either the S&P, the NASDAQ, currencies, gold, silver. Patterns are very similar to large cap stocks, but there's no PDT rule. Genuinely useful if you want to check it out. Here's the link. And again, guys, let me know what you guys think right now. AMD sitting at about $98 a share. Again, tomorrow we have the FOMC meeting. And honestly, this FOMC meeting tomorrow is going to be crazy relevant. We will stream the entire thing completely live as it happens, as we do every FOMC meeting where, my main channel here is economic reports, right? So we mostly cover earnings, but economic reports are our main thing. And again, tomorrow's FOMC meeting is one of the biggest ones. We'll stream the full press conference, the full statement, the full rate hike decision, the full Q&A, everything live right here on Beginner Trading. So subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. Big day tomorrow. We also have Apple earnings on Thursday. Again, we'll cover all of this, stream all of it, just like today. Good luck. Y'all be safe. Love you all. Be good. And I'll see you guys later. Y'all stay safe tonight.